Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Soul Talk with Kilfox, and this is our fifth installation of my life's disclosures. Right now, I am talking about the time period in my life between, what would you say, junior year of high school. It was very active year for me. So anyway, that summer actually, right before junior high, so the summer between sophomore and junior year, when we had done that dance camp, I had actually qualified for what? I don't remember what it was called, but it was through National Dance Association, and I can't think of what it is, but basically every year at summer camp, they give certain people the opportunity to go up there and rank and earn medals and opportunities to go dance elsewhere in other places. So anyway, I decided to, I was doing the same thing that I did back in cheerleading, where I was trying out for captain, co-captain, even though I wasn't trying to get either position. I just wanted to experience what it was going to be like so I could be prepared for the following year, which I did want at that point. So anyway, when I tried out, I did not make captain, co-captain, for, obviously, but the criticism that I received helped me to build what would get me there. Anyway, so this particular summer camp, I don't know, I can't even remember how I qualified. Oh, because a co-captain or the captain or the co-captain, one of the two, I think it was a captain, couldn't fulfill her obligations to the team. So the co-captain then became captain, and then I became co-captain. Totally forgot about all that. Anyway, so that's how I was able to be able to participate in this particular competition, because normally if you're not a team ranking officer, then you don't qualify for the competition until you are a junior. At that time, I wasn't a junior yet. I had just finished sophomore. So anyway, because of that, I was able to participate in this competition, and it was terrible. We were doing this camp in our hot-ass, cheap-ass gym, and it was just miserable in the middle of summer already anyway. And then on top of that, the electricity for the city, it must not have been the whole city, but I don't know, something happened and my home electricity was cut off. So yeah, that put a kink in a lot of things, including because we were part of the competition is they choreograph most of the routine, but then the last bit of it, you're supposed to choreograph yourself. And I'd only heard the music a few times, right? And I had already picked up the routine from that day, because you only get one day. You get one day to learn. The next day you compete. That's it. So anyway, I only had that one evening, and I tried everything because I didn't have anything that was battery portable to listen to play to practice to. I had nothing. I can't tell you how much I cried and cried and cried. And I called up everybody that I knew from the team, asking if I could come and practice and blah, blah, blah. And I did, but of course that's, it was only like an hour's worth of practice, and that was it. I needed more than that. And I hadn't even worked on my choreography for the routine, and I can't even listen to the music. I need the music to be able to, whatever. So what I did was I had pulled some old moves that I had come up with, and I just put them in the order that they needed to be. I didn't have the beats to go to, so I didn't know what was hitting on what, but I knew how it would end. And so anyway, I didn't bathe. I was disgusting. It was hot. On top of it being hot, I was dancing the entire night and trying to put something together with no music. And I cried. I debated whether to go in the next day. But I did. And of course, there was, this was really important to me because this competition was not something that I was even supposed to be qualified for that year. It just so happened to work out that way. And I really wanted support. And I had asked my parents to be there, and they didn't want to be there. So he wasn't working. It was his off weekend. But whatever. I say his, but it was both of them saying no. Normally it's my mom saying no. I'm used to that. My dad, on the other hand, he'll just drop me off at places, but every once in a while he might sit. And so anyway, I was hoping that he would come and sit, but he didn't. But I went in there the next day and I fucking knocked it out of the water. Don't know how. But when I say, I walked out of that bitch with a fucking gold medal. A gold medal. A gold medal. I was invited to dance in London. I was invited to dance in New York. And so anyway, during that year, because you have to, that's expensive. You got to pay for that. My family is poor, but my grandmother is not. She's quite the opposite as far as I've observed over time. And so I was thinking, well, she paid for my cousin to go with her cheerleading team to Disney World to perform. She even went with them. So maybe she would pay for me to go, to maybe just one of these events, right? And I don't know, my dad stopped me. He's just like, no. He's like, no, that's too much money. You're not going to ask for that. It wasn't until later in life. It's always been that case. It's always a lot of money if I ask for it. But if they ask for it from the same person, they get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at a time. So anyway, I just accepted it or whatever and held on to that gold medal. I was at least happy to be able to say that I was invited and to be able to say that I didn't just go in there and perform. I fucking lit that shit on fire and got a gold medal. Yeah, I felt great. It looked like an Olympian medal. So it was... I needed it. I needed a boost. But anyway, so that year, I get tied in with this boyfriend. We're becoming close. Really liking his family, especially. And he's not bad or anything, but whatever. Now, as time goes on, things changed, of course. But in the beginning, of course, it's all perfect. It's always perfect in the beginning, right? Because we did a lot of adventurous things that year. What did I do? So I guess I'll go ahead and talk about this. I got my first vehicle during this time. And it was donated to me by my grandmother as a Christmas gift. As a Christmas gift? Yeah. But I couldn't drive it all the time. I had to get all of the paperwork and everything together. And so by the time I did start driving, I decided that I wanted a job because I needed money. I was tired of trying to bum off on parents, and they don't want to help with anything. So anyway, I decided that's what I was going to do. And so I decided to go out looking for a job. I did. I found one. I got one. Became an ice cream shop worker. And things were going well for about a month. And then all of a sudden, my brakes go out. And like, it's bad. It's really bad. To the point where, like, I am 1 week away from my paycheck. I'm sorry, it must have been 2 weeks away from my paycheck when I went to my father and I asked him if he would please pay for my brake change until I could pay him. He said, no, pay for it yourself. You wanted a car, you pay for it yourself. Okay? So a week goes by, and then one night after driving home, late at the ice cream shop, I got in a huge fucking wreck with an 18-wheeler because I couldn't slam on my brakes. I was on the interstate behind this 18-wheeler, and I don't know why, but out of nowhere, this motherfucker decides to slam on his brakes. And so I'm trying my fucking best, but the brakes aren't there. And so I end up having to, what I did was I swerved into the next lane, because this is the interstate, so it's a 2-lane road. Swerved into the other lane, realized that I was going to take off into the median or whatever. So I tried to correct, but I overcorrected. And so I wound up turning to where, like, this is the body of the truck. So, like, this would be, like, the driver and passenger seat, and then this is, like, the long truck. I wound up facing them this way. So when I hit right at the underbelly of that 18-wheeler. It was crazy. Like, I could walk you through the whole thing. It was like everything was in slow motion. And I remember everything that I was thinking and doing, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, you know, I haven't done anything that I wanted to in this life. And I do realize that I've made a lot of mistakes. And if I could be given the opportunity to correct them, great. But if not, and if it's my time, then okay. And I relaxed my body and got through it. I landed in the median. I didn't know that, of course. This was dark. I mean, it must have been like a new moon or something. It was extra, extra dark. And I'm out in the median, and one thing my dad taught me was that if you ever get into a wreck, as soon as the car stops, get out, because you don't know what damage was done. There could be a gas leak, and there could be a fire about to start. You don't, or an explosion. You don't want to be in that. And so I did, and so I got out, and I was trying to, get my bearings, like, where am I? Oh, I'm in a median. And then, and so I walked to the road going the opposite direction of where I was traveling. And I'm just waving my hands, jumping up and down, and screaming for anybody. Nobody stopped. Not a single fucking person stopped. So I noticed that the 18-wheeler had stopped for a moment. And apparently he had stopped because there were workers on the side of the road. They were nowhere on the road. He had no excuse for fucking slamming on his brakes at all. None at all. So I go over to those people, because those people were closer. The 18-wheeler didn't stop until, he stopped past these people that were on the side of the road. And I go over to them, and they're like, oh, you okay, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell them the best I can what happened, and like, yeah. And so, like, I'm sitting there waiting for the ambulance and everything to show up, and I never saw the face of that driver. I got word through them that he walked up, said, is she okay, or are they okay? Said yeah, and he fucking walked off. That was it. Anyway, so I did end up going into the ICU. I just I'm pointing that out specifically because that's not the first time that my father has tried to let his kids' vehicles live in nasty conditions. So what I'm trying to say is he has the knowledge and capability of taking care of vehicles, brakes, oil, all of that. But then, when the hurricane took me off to Texas 6 or 7 years ago, then he was doing it to my little sister. My little sister's brakes were going to shit. And she had been asking him to do this forever and ever. And he had promised her that when she came to his stepdaughter's birthday party, that he would take care of it there, or step-grandchild, something like that. And so she did. And then, of course, my dad's like, yeah, we'll take care of it. And then the evil stepmother steps in and says, no, we're not doing that. We're celebrating a birthday. We're not changing people's brakes. So I took my little sister and her car away from the party, and we took care of that shit. No. I knew what these people were doing because my sister had already told me that they kept putting her off over and over and over, and her brakes were just getting really, really bad. I'm like, this sounds really, really similar. And I was such a smart-ass boy. When I got back, I said, you know what? You all may think it's ridiculous to take care of somebody's brakes, but I don't, because I remember the wreck that I got in because nobody wanted to help me change those brakes. And it just so happens to be the same fucking person trying to put another one of his kids in a situation like that. It's sickening. It is sickening, the things that my family do and say. So yeah, me and this boy, I eventually fell in love. And I had given it enough time to it wasn't unreasonable. It was after 7 months or so. And we had said, I love you to each other. And so he had given me a promise ring and a couple other things. But I don't know. It was good for a while until it wasn't. He had a lot of issues of his own, and I didn't realize that until later on that that I was part of a goal. Anyway, he and I decided to lay down together, and I had a whole conversation, an agreement that I made with myself and the universe. And I said, okay, if I choose to lay down, then I choose to accept the possibility that I could become pregnant. And if I become pregnant and this person is not willing to help raise the child, I will be willing and I will raise the child on my own. I agreed to that. And so anyway, we didn't get pregnant right away. It was a little ways down the road, but I just felt like we always used protection. And there was just this one night where the way he took it off and slid it away, it gave me the impression he didn't use it on purpose. I couldn't prove that or anything, so just go on with life as normal. But over time, his toxicity started leaking through. We would be in my vehicle. I remember this first big fight we had. I was driving him home, and we were almost to his house, and he said, he just got ugly with me. He's like, turn that shit off. I'm like, no, this is my vehicle. I'm driving. He said, no, we're not listening to this dumb shit. It was like Britney Spears or something popish. And he just started losing his shit to where he was ready to fucking grab the steering wheel. And so I was like, no, 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 no. So I turned my music off. I stopped my car and I told him to get the fuck out of my car. Like, you don't tell me what to do in my vehicle when I'm the one operating it. Anyway, felt bad. I didn't just let him walk home. I did turn around, pick him up, drop him off where he needed to be. But after finding out I was pregnant, we had a homecoming to go to, or something like in my senior year. And it was then that I decided that I needed to tell him after that event. And so I did. And so we had actually come back to his house after prom. Anyway, and so I told him, and he's like, he was happy. He was happy. And I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I can feel okay about this now. But then he goes, you have no idea. My dad is going to be so happy. He's going to be so happy. Again, why would any parent be happy that their child is having a child while they're still a child? What? But whatever. Okay, whatever. Turns out, though, like, that his father never acted like he wanted to keep it. When everyone found out, the only thing he kept pushing for was an abortion. He wanted me to have an abortion. Him in particular. Nobody else came out and said, you should have an abortion. This is what you should do. Nobody did that to me, except for this man. And like, he was so upset that he couldn't convince me to have an abortion through my boyfriend that he himself came and picked me up to talk to me. And I was just like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I did what I did, and I'm taking responsibility. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with that? Anyway, so still just pushing me on abortion, and I pushed out his family altogether. I just couldn't take it. My boyfriend wanted to stay close to me for whatever reason. It wasn't even necessary, but he did. And I don't know. We were struggling. You know, we had no money to pay for anything that we needed. And so my boyfriend would act like he would go out and try to get work or whatever. And then one day, it's just some time had gone by, right? It was nearing Christmas of that year, 2004. And it was like a week before his family's annual Christmas party that they would hold all the time. And his dad, it was the first time I had seen his dad since he tried to convince me of an abortion. And I said no, and he wasn't happy. And he hugged me and he apologized. And I wasn't sure what for, but then he goes, and mind you, I've been struggling, I had no clothes. I'd grown out of everything. I had nothing. And he goes, I'm really sorry. And then he goes on to explain that he had given his son $900, between $700 and $900, to take care of us. And he turned around and bought a gun with it. A hunting gun. A rifle. Yeah. So anyway, he was like, you know what? For Christmas, we're going to get you some clothes. We're going to make sure that you get some pregnancy clothes. I'm like, okay. And then just a week later was the annual Christmas party. managed to fit in something decent. It actually turned out pretty, but it was literally just the only thing I had that was kind of nice and I could wear at the time. And now this Christmas party, it happened it's like at the beginning of the month, and he did that on purpose, not near actual Christmas, because people want to spend Christmas with their families and stuff. So it was early in the month, but that night, music, dancing, laughter, chatting going on, and my boyfriend's dad is up there singing a song, and in the middle of singing, he stopped singing, but he has this huge smile on his face. His huge smile, and he, like, literally, it was me and my boyfriend sitting on the couch. He walked up to me and my boyfriend and died right in front of us with a smile on his face. He'd had a heart attack, supposedly. We had rushed to the hospital. There was so much chaos at this point. Like, I had one shoe by the time I made it to the hospital, because out in the parking lot, I had lost a shoe, but everybody was walking and trampling and everything like this, and my boyfriend was literally going to leave me if I didn't get in the vehicle, so I had to. Yeah. That was a weird and awkward experience to have to go through. But so my boyfriend exhibited toxic behaviors, narcissistic behaviors before this point, but it was always kind of mild and not very frequent. But as soon as his dad died, it was just like he was letting everything out. He became very abusive, physically, mentally, verbally, emotionally. And for a pregnant woman, it shouldn't have happened. It was rough. It was rough. Because right before he died, he had a rental house right next to him with an upper apartment, just a single bedroom. And we had just moved in. And it was really, the abuse got so bad to where, like, I just was like, I couldn't tell him, but I was like, I want to go spend this time with my mom and family who can take care of me right now. And he was always gone through the night. I had a few cravings during that pregnancy, but nothing crazy. The only crazy thing I remember is asking for Burger King fries in the middle of the night one night. And he about threw a fucking hissy fit. He got them for some reason, but the whole time he bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched. And like I said, eventually I made my way back to my parents' house for the rest of my pregnancy. And this is important to note too. During this time, like, before I went over to my mom's house, I was in such depression. Like, I wasn't thinking clearly. I couldn't think clearly. And I knew that. I knew it. And I really hated it. Hated that feeling. It was like pregnancy brain times 10. And, he started pushing me about getting married and shit. And I'm just like, I don't think I want to marry you. You're not nice to me all the time. And he's just like, oh, well, we love each other. Blah, blah, blah. And I wanted more than anything for our child to be legitimate. I really did. So it's not like I didn't want to be married. It was just simply that it was strange for him to all of a sudden out of the blue want to be married. But pregnancy brain, had me all fogged up. And on February 14th, Valentine's Day, we decided to get married last minute at local notary that his family is deeply tied into. And then later on in the pregnancy, like later than that, because my child was born in April, there were just so many things going wrong. Like, I had been going to the doctor the entire time. Nobody tested me for diabetes. I didn't even know that was a thing. You can have pregnancy diabetes? What the? I didn't know. And it wasn't until my 8th month of pregnancy that they wanted to test me for it. And like, oh yeah, you have diabetes. I'm just like, I've been in this office giving you the same symptoms for the past 3 months. And it's only now that you actually want to do something? What? The damage was already done to my body. Anyway, so I had to switch my diet. Fortunately, as soon as it switched a lot. Because I knew I was going to lose weight, but it was going to be dangerous that I lose too much weight, And it was during all of this mess, all of this, oh my God. And I was having to deal with my boyfriend just going off, throwing things, hitting me, driving like a maniac when he was in a mood. And then towards the end, they had some guy come up with paperwork, and they were like, what they told me was that this was the succession, that if I didn't sign the paperwork, then my boyfriend would not be able to get a vehicle for us right now, which we didn't have at the time, because they decided to sell all their other vehicles. Anyway, talk for another day. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't like talking about this part of my life, because I don't like admitting that I was that stupid, naive, I don't want to say gullible, but because I'm definitely not a gullible person. I didn't realize that narcissists would try this low key for this long. Anyway, they were telling me, they said, if we didn't sign the paperwork now, then it would have to be, it wouldn't be until my son became 18 that any money will be distributed, because I was pregnant with the child when the grandfather died. And because he didn't have a will or anything set up in place, the last heir would have been my unborn child. And they're like, okay, if you sign this, it's just $10,000. Once he gets the $10,000, he can go buy a vehicle with it, and y'all are good. So I did. I didn't look at any of the paperwork, okay? I was in such a horrible state. This was before they were getting me straight with the diabetes. I was having a lot of trouble, okay? And I had this deep feeling that it was more than $10,000, but the way I had been treated, because it's not just him. When that man died, the 2 other family members, they fucking switched. It's like they fucking dropped their fucking mask. They went from nice and friendly to fucking evil. Evil. I didn't recognize them anymore. Like, they were just monsters. And they were all there, and this lawyer standing in the parking lot waiting for my signature, and I had to come to the conclusion in my head and my heart and mind that if I didn't sign that paperwork, something bad was going to happen. Something really bad was going to happen. And so, I signed it. I didn't even care. I just wanted my son. The way I saw it was that if I could just sign off on this money so these people would leave me and my son alone, that's all I wanted, because the only thing I cared about was my son. And I only cared about, giving him the opportunities that he needed. And time goes on. I'm at my mom's place, and the day before, like a few days before my son was born, I wound up getting an ear infection really bad this ear. And like I said in previous videos, when I get ear infections, they are serious. It's the worst pain in the entire world. And having to go through that while pregnant, it was just miserable. And my boyfriend and I took a trip to Walmart, and he was getting aggravated again. And so when we parked and he waited for me to get out, I said, I'm just going to sit in here. He's like, why? And I said, because you're not calmed down, and I don't want to be in there with you right now. So from the passenger seat, he reaches his hand over, grabs my head like this, and starts shaking it. Fucking shaking it and shaking it and shaking it. Which I didn't realize until later. It had actually put me into labor. Not only had he caused this infection to get worse, it got to this ear, and then I went into labor the next morning. He was a breech, so we had to do a C-section. And while they were thinking that I could just do the vaginal birth or whatever, they had their whole family in my room. Like, I don't want these bitches up my fucking crotch. Like, nobody asked me, hey, who do you want to allow in your room? No, they just shoved themselves, and everybody was okay with it. So everybody got a clear view of my crotch and everything. People, they have no fucking business with my fucking vagina. Did the surgery, came out. It was 1 or 2 days into the hospital, and they finally decided to send out an ENT, which, if you don't know, that's ear, nose, throat doctor. And she is the only one in the area, and supposedly that's the reason why I couldn't get my ears checked in the first place, was because she was that unavailable. But somehow or another, they managed to let her come up in there to come check me for my ear. But right before she got there, I woke up from sleep, and I couldn't breathe. And I was doing anything to get my mom's attention. Fortunately, she came to, because she was asleep. She was holding my son, and I couldn't make out any words. So she knew something was wrong. She didn't even reach for the damn button on my bed, bro. She just got straight up and went to the door and started hollering for somebody. And, by the way, my supposed husband was there completely knocked out. He slept through the whole fucking thing. My mom was pissed. She was like, I just needed him to wake up to hold the goddamn baby. And anyway, what had happened was, supposedly, fluid had gotten into my lungs from the surgery. And so they had 5 IVs in me trying to get that fluid out. Fortunately, they were able to. But in the middle of this chaos is when they want to send in the ENT. And she walks into the room, puts her hands on her hips while I can't breathe. And she goes, has she always been like this? Because she was trying to ask me questions, but the questions she was asking were not yes or no questions. So I couldn't just nod my head or shake my head. I couldn't. Like, if you want me to answer the questions, then I had to do it in single breaths like that. But this ugly ass bitch stands back, puts her hands on her hips, and looks at my mother and says, has she always been this way? And didn't even wait for a response. She just turned and walked the fuck out of the room. Didn't help me. Didn't give me anything for my ears. Didn't do anything. Didn't even look at my fucking ears. Which has me wondering now, like, was she even an ENT? That's who they told me she was. They announced her when she walked in. She announced herself as well. After my son was born, things calmed down for a little while. My family's toxicity went down a lot. There's something about having that new baby in the house. It just really transformed the people around me. And I tried to stay together with my husband because I feel like things should be given time, should be worked through, should be worked out. That was just my personal belief system. Wow, I just realized everything happened so quickly after this. So it was that year that Hurricane Katrina had hit Louisiana. Our family left to go stay with my dad's brother's family, which I think is in, I gotta think of the name. I forgot the name of the county or city or whatever. My husband had started working for his uncle, doing carpentry work, because he was managing a property in Baton Rouge. So it was easy to, get him on. It's just, my boyfriend it didn't get that bad until we moved out. Okay, so let's talk about Katrina. So Katrina, we went over there. I was pregnant, had my little dog with me. Halfway getting to Texas, my husband's uncle calls him up, says, we need you here. I'm like, what? It's a fucking hurricane. We have a newborn son, and we can't stay together as a family because of what? Like, he has workers there, but he was like, well, if you don't come back, you're never going to be able to work for me again, blah, 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 blah. He was given all the threats, and so he went back. During that stay over there with family, you remember my dog, and I said she knows limits and boundaries. Like, she was intelligent, highly. And I woke up one morning at that house, and they told me, oh, she ran out into the road and got hit by a car. What? That doesn't even make sense. She's been out in the yard like every day since we've been here, and she's never had a problem. Like, I know her. She wouldn't go near that particular road because it was busier and faster than any street she's ever lived on. So I know she was going to avoid that road. But supposedly I never got to see my baby, by the way. They were like, oh, like trying to protect me from seeing that. And so my cousin is like, okay, well, I'll go bury her out there for you. I'm like, okay. That dog was so protective over my baby boy. She would sleep under his little rocker all the time. She would, wherever he was, that's where my dog was. And there was even one time where I'm in the bedroom with my son in the crib, and he's crying, and I'm trying to get him to where he will self-soothe. So I'm trying to like give myself, okay, whatever the time was, like 7 minutes, I think it was 10 minutes. Anyway, I was trying to let that time go by before tending to him, because if it's something that, maybe he's just, just having a fit for a moment. Well, anyway, my dog was not in the room at the time, and she started scratching on the door. Well, I didn't answer it because I wanted him to cry it out for 6 or 7 minutes, whatever it was. This little girl, she goes all the way to the opposite end of the trailer to my mother's door, won't stop scratching on her door until she gets up. And then she walks down there and she's like, "What's the problem?" Hearing my son whimper. "What's the problem?" And I'm like, "Nothing's the problem. I'm trying to get him to self-soothe. I'm giving him a few minutes to cry." And she wouldn't have that. So she opened the door, she picked the baby up, and of course my dog was happy. Needless to say, like that, she was our little protector, our little angel. That I didn't realize until later was sacrificed by these ugly ass people. From there, it was just downhill from there. After that experience, like the year after, my husband and I had agreed to move out to Mississippi with our son by ourselves so that he could jump on board a job that my cousin had helped him get. And my cousin was just going to let us be the next renters of the trailer or whatever that he was staying in. And so we're out there, and that's when things really, really got bad, because my husband got so bipolar, I guess you could say. Like, he would literally just lash out of nowhere for no reason at all. I couldn't understand it. It seemed to me like he might have been on drugs or something. This is how naive and stupid I was about drugs back then. Like, I didn't even know or understand that pills were used as drugs, like bad drugs. I always thought, okay, bad drugs, you shooting up your arm or something like this, or smoking something, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, no matter how much I dug around the house or anything like that, I never found anything. Even his vehicle, I would search while he was passed out. Like, I never found anything, but I knew something was wrong. Like, you don't just, and it was physical. And I mean, it was bad. He wouldn't pay for anything. He just kept saying how he didn't have money. And I'm just like, how do you not have money? Like, you're making over $700 a week. Our little trailer isn't but like $700, and yeah, we had a couple bills, but there was no reason we should have been struggling as much as we were. And it wound up being one day where, like, he was choking me out on the couch. And because he had attacked me previously, right? But it's never been in front of my son. And I've, but this one time when he was choking me out, my son was right there, because it was one of those moments where he just snapped, and literally for no reason, out of nowhere, just starts choking me. And it was that moment that I realized, no more, I have to get out, because if this is clearly affecting my son. My son is seeing this now, so I've got to make a move. And so I came on back home, and while my dad never said it out loud, I could tell, like, I don't know. When I told him that he wasn't paying for us. He would come home with bows and arrows that he bought. But I couldn't even get diapers for my fucking son. His clothes were all outgrown. I had to, when he was passed out really bad, I would have to go into his wallet and steal money just to be able to pay for diapers and clothes for him. Because he would never put money in my hands, ever. That's something a narcissist always does. They never put money in your hands. If they do, it's a very small amount, and I promise you, it's still a controlled purchase. But anyway, I make it home, and some time goes by, and I left my vehicle and everything up there. Because basically what happened was we came into Louisiana for a visit with the family, and I was like, no, I'm staying. So he went back by himself. Well, anyway, so we get there. I'm sorry. Let me back up. I needed to get my stuff in my car. And so my dad finally decides to take me up there. Of course, my husband's not there or anywhere to be found. The car is fucking trash. My car. He has a truck of his own. My car is trashed. It's got cigarette butts and alcohol all up in the fucking back seat. Then my dad gets to go in and go through the house and see everything. And it wasn't until we made it back with all my stuff that he took me to the side and he said, I'm really sorry. And I said, it's okay. I didn't really know what he was apologizing for. I thought it was just, because things ended not so great. But then he goes, Kisty, I didn't know it was that bad. And for my dad to say that, it was bad. It was so bad. Even the trailer itself was trashed and trashy. It was he got to see for himself. There's no food in the fridge. There's nothing. There's nothing. But he has his big music system. He has his hunting gear. Oh, he's all set. So it's one of the only, I think that might be the only apology I've ever received from my father. But yeah, so I'm telling you, it's a slippery slope after this. It just like so much happening at once. Like, it's no wonder that it's taken me this long to fucking break it all apart and understand it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this video since we're almost at an hour again. I'll try to get through one more. I would really like to do a reading or two, but we'll see. Love you guys. Bye.